Chapter 4. At school, we were given an hour-long break for lunch each day. I usually marched home with 4 or 5 other girls, all of us talking non-stop, ready to play games on the kitchen floor and watch TV while my mom handed out sandwiches. This began a habit that has sustained me for life, keeping a close and high-spirited group of girlfriends whose wisdom I can rely on. In my lunch group, we talked about whatever had gone on that morning at school, any differences we had with teachers and assignments we thought were useless. We left the Jackson 5 and weren't sure how we felt about the Osmonds. The Watergate scandal had happened, but none of us understood it. It seemed like a lot of old guys talking into microphones in Washington, D.C., which to us was just a faraway city filled with a lot of wild white buildings and white men. My mom was happy to serve us. It gave her an easy window into our world, as my friends and I ate and gossiped. She often stood by quietly doing some household chore, not hiding the fact that she was listening to every word. In my family, with 4 of us packed into a small apartment, we'd never had any privacy anyway. It only mattered. It uh, it only mattered sometimes. Craig, who was suddenly interested in girls, had started taking his phone calls in a bathroom at Chicago schools when Bryn Mawr fell somewhere between being a bad school and a good school. The student population only grew blacker or poorer with each year. There was for a time a city-wide movement to bus kids to new schools, but Bryn Mawr parents had fought, fought it off, arguing that the money was better spent improving the school itself. As a kid, I had no opinion on whether the facilities were run down or whether it mattered that there were hardly any white kids left. The school ran from kindergarten all the way through 8th grade, which meant that by the time I'd reached the upper grades, I knew every light switch, every chalkboard, and cracked patch of hallway. I knew nearly every teacher and most of the kids for me. Bryn Mawr was practically an extension of home. As I was entering 7th grade, the Chicago Defender, a weekly a weekly newspaper that was popular with African American readers, ran a mean-spirited opinion piece that claimed Bryn Mawr had gone from being one of the city's best public schools to a rundown slum governed governed by a ghetto mentality. Our school principal, Dr. Leviso, defended his community of parents and students, calling the newspaper piece an outrageous lie, which seems designed to incite only feelings of failure and flight. Doctor Leviso was a round, cheery man who had an afro that puffed out on either side of his bald spot. He understood precisely what he was up against. Failure is a feeling long before it becomes an actual result. It's a feeling of vulnerability mixed in with self-doubt and made even stronger by fear. Those feelings of failure he mentioned were everywhere already in my neighborhood, in the form of parents who couldn't get ahead financially, of kids who were starting to suspect that their lives would be no different, of families who watched their better off neighbors leave for the suburbs or transfer their children to Catholic schools. Real estate agents made things worse by whispering to homeowners that they should sell before it was too late. The comments pushed people to feel that failure was coming, that it had already half arrived. Who could get caught up in the ruin, or you could escape it. They used the word everyone was most afraid of, Jito, dropping it like a lit match. My mom bought into none of this. She lived in South Shore for 10 years already and would end up staying another 40. She didn't buy into fear mongering or pie in the sky idealism. She was a straight down the line realist, controlling what she could.